Hey everybody, I got the music playing. I was jamming. Let me tell you, each week, let me first introduce myself. Hi everybody, I am Day Smith. I am the founder and CEO of Simplicity by Day, and I am the co-host for the Wow Factor event happening October 21st, so 13 days away. I think my math is right. 13 days away. We'll be hosting fully, and every week in the month of October, we're bringing on our sponsors, the ladies who are going to be speaking to the guests and the attendees virtually and in person, because this event is in person in Houston and DC as well as virtually. We're going to be having our special guests on to talk about their zone of genius, to make it a well-rounded event. We have some awesome experts. Last week, we had and body coaches, Andrea and Carrie. They were amazing. They talked all about their background and how pure language has helped them overcome in many areas of their life. And the things that we say to ourselves and to our family really does impact, life itself and its reality. And so today I'm so excited because we have another sponsor. Now, you guys know I am a professional organizer. And so I am a part of a couple of organizing groups. And one group is the National Association of Black Professional Organizers, founded by four wonderful ladies in the Atlanta area. And now it's national. We have dozens, hundreds of members, allies who come together to talk about how we can support each other as Black women of color, organizers of color, I should say. And so I met this sponsor in that group, and I was immediately impressed with her platform, her company, her whole life in general. She'll tell you more. She is a boss in her business. She's such a caring, giving person. She's phenomenal at what she does and how she does it. And so I wanted her to be a part of the event because I wanted her to be able to share with the community. And so today I'm going to bring up Amelia. Welcome to the chat. Oh, that looks much better because when it was just me, it was all pixely. It's kind of weird. I'm glad that it doesn't look like that.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. This is Amelia Kennedy Pleasant with a Pleasant Solution. She is a sponsor in the Wow Factor event. She's going to be speaking from Detroit or Florida. We don't know. We don't know where she's going to be. She's going to be virtual. She is almost bi-coastal. You go north-south or something like that. Can we say that? But let me tell you a little bit about Amelia formally, and then we'll get started in our conversation. And we are streaming live from Facebook, from the Simplicity by Day page, my personal page, and YouTube. So these will be shared on our platform. So if you are joining us outside of today, feel free to chime in and chat. So Amelia is a certified life coach and professional organizer and the CEO and founder of A Pleasant Solution. She helps women who are frazzled, busy, and overworked. That's all of us, y'all. Uncover the root cause of their current lifestyle behaviors. With a keen ability to listen for what goes unsaid, Amelia coaches from a space of total curiosity and non-judgment so that clients can build a deep sense of self-trust. That is a word. I love that. Amelia is the president of the Michigan chapter of the National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals, NAPO, the Authority and Professional Organizers, and the chair of the NAPO's Awards and Recognition Committee. She is also an active member of the Life Coach School coaching community, the Institute for Challenging Disorganization, ICD, Black Girls Who Organize, and of course, where we met, the National Association of Black Professional Organizers. So everybody give a virtual applause for Amelia. You can't hear them, but they're there. I know they are tuning in. Hi, Amelia. How are you doing, girl?
Oh, I'm so good. Yeah, it's a great day. I'm in Florida now, post-hurricane, which was intense, but we're cleaning up and helping those who've been affected for sure.
Hey, absolutely. Which part of Florida then are you in?
Sarasota, Bradenton.
Sarasota.
So came right through here.
Wow, yes, we are definitely thinking of those in Florida and all along the coast of Puerto Rico. I mean, those are always so scary, and I'm glad that you guys are okay. And people are resilient, man. The hurricanes come through, and the community comes together to help each other out and make it through. So I'm glad that you did. You and your daughter are there, or you and your son are there.
Son, yeah, and we were supported by our local community. We have no hurricane experience, and a family opened its doors and they just said, come on over, we've got you, you're safe, stay with us. So it was a lovely example of generosity for sure.
Absolutely. That's good. They took you into their home, made sure you were good. So well, let's get into our conversation. I know I read your bio officially, but tell us why you do what you do and why are you excited about what you do? What makes you excited about what you do?
So I started off, like many professional organizers, working in home with women, decluttering, organizing. I also like to design closets, pantries, get in there, do a little tear out, do a little install. And the more I worked in home, the more I realized that there is also a layer of mental and emotional clutter that exists for many of us underneath the surface. Yeah. So we think that it is the external state of our home that is causing us to feel frazzled and overwhelmed, but there's often a layer of self-judgment, maybe expectations or standards that we're trying to live up to based on the way we were raised or the community that we were brought up in. And I love that interpersonal relationship and interpersonal connection. So I became a life coach to really explore and really be curious and ask questions about why we believe what we believe about the way our home should look like, the tasks that we divide, and whether we're living with others, the shared relationship of activities within the home, how we divide our time, and how we, really strive to keep up with it all, sometimes to the detriment of our own wellness and own energy.
Yes. I love so many things about what you just said. So I just unpack that whole paragraph and start at the beginning, talking about working with clients and what's underneath, that self-doubt, those things that may not be on the surface. That is really the intention that we have with this event, because we found as the cohort as well and see the DEX organizing group, we found that there's always something more going on. We talked about this last week, how you have that cluttered closet. Why is it cluttered? Why aren't you making space for your spouse's things? Why are you hoarding things that you can no longer fit? Like, what does that mean? What does that really say? And so we won't be able to have and maintain a clear space until we really unpack that. So it's great that you say that. And I can see how life coaching now is just a great fit into organizing, because you really are helping people manage through life and through life changes and life struggles like self-doubt and shame and all of that. So
I love it. We're great at, I like to say, lying to ourselves, honestly. We come up with all sorts of excuses, right? We're like, we don't have time. I might need this later. And all of those things are very valid, but we get to explore a little bit more about, what are we nervous about? Are we staying away from a hard conversation within ourselves or within our household? So looking a little bit deeper with some of those feelings that we don't always love to get into and address. But I am motivated to create a safe space for women to be able to do so, because that is and allows for really profound transformation.
Yes. You mentioned that. You said self-trust. as opposed to the trust that goes with them trusting you. So talk a little bit more about that. Like how do you maneuver through helping them to form self-trust, trust in themselves?
Yeah, self-trust is not always something that comes easy to folks. And we need to build evidence and remind ourselves of all the areas in our life that we have been successful in the past to sort of um, build that relationship within. So when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to clutter, for example, trusting that we'll be able to replace an object later on
Mm-hmm.
down the line if we let it go. That
Mm,
if we dive into some memories or memorabilia that wasn't as comfortable from our past, that we'll really be able to allow that emotion and feel it, even though it's really challenging and hard, and make it through. So it's always kind of finding evidence and finding other ways where we really truly have been resilient, and reminding ourselves that we can handle the hard things in order to get to that goodness
yeah.
of more space or more time.
Yeah. Got it. That is really profound because I didn't think of it as a lack of self-trust, but it is trusting yourself to let it go. Or even trusting yourself to change or make new habits, because that is a big thing with, we're all creatures of habit and we do things a certain way because it's our comfort zone. So
Mhm.
trusting yourself that you can do something different. It could be better for you or make you more fulfilled. And that's scary. Change is hard. I often lean on the quote, change is difficult, but not more difficult than remaining in a situation that's not nurturing to the whole woman. That's from Maya Angelou, but I often tell myself that and tell my clients that. And I think trust definitely does, self trust can play a huge role in accepting that, and moving through that. So, very, very,
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
very,
I think as women in particular, we're raised to kind of always look outside of ourselves for that
mm,
reassurance, for that trust. Am I doing it right? There has to be a right way. What if, something happens with someone else? And so, yeah, that's where that self-trust of like, I can do it for me and it's going to
yeah,
turn out okay really
yeah.
makes a difference. So I love that Maya Angelou quote.
Yes, yes. So speaking, you touched on this a little bit, but I saw you had posted. You guys make sure to follow Amelia at A Pleasant Solution on Instagram. Here, I went ahead and put it there. Boom. And Facebook as well. Are you on Facebook, Amelia? I believe
I
so.
am,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So she does really great live, candid conversations. And I think today I just happened to look and you were talking about you'll explain what happened with your daughter. And then let's unpack that because you mentioned the burden and the overburden one parent not giving the other parent the opportunity. Like, let's talk about that because I think that was a very relatable topic that you talked about.
So my audience is primarily women in midlife or, 30s, 40s, maybe have a family.
Hmm.
And in this situation, I was sharing about how women, we tend to be the default parent. So my daughter had an issue with her friends at school. Everything was perfectly fine, by the way. And you get that call, even if your kids are in elementary school and they bump their head or scrape their knee. The response is always to call the mother first.
Yeah.
Now, my husband and I live intentionally in a split household. So my son goes to school here in Florida, which is where I am right now. My husband is in Detroit with our two girls, and he's perfectly capable of handling everything that they might need. But the default is to call the mom when there's, something up at school. And
Yeah.
they assumed that I knew what was going on with my daughters. Of course, I check in with them, but I wasn't there on the ground. So now in turn, I have to go and communicate to my husband to check in on my daughter and to follow up and
Mhm.
to follow through. all of which he's perfectly capable of doing on his own, but it takes my time and attention away from what I'm doing here in order to do that. And it's an example of the invisible work that women we do throughout our lives. We're the default parent to fill out the forms, to answer the phone, to communicate the messages. And we're constantly trying to keep up with this to-do list in our head, plus like our work, right?
Yes.
And so it just was this story where, of course, it's not the school's fault, but it's like society always goes like, mom knows what's going on. Let's call her. And I had to, share that with my husband and encourage him to step up, which of course he was right on it. And he was like, I got this.
Yeah. I think you had said and that she told you that you would know if you were here.
Exactly. She was like, oh, you should know what's going on because you're there. And I'm like, but I'm not.
No, and that's okay. And I was just first I was shocked. I was like, who is this woman? And then secondly, I'm just like, I totally relate to that because I too have small kids and we don't have a split household, but we both are very busy working and running a business and shuffling the kids here and there, and it has to be 50-50 or else it ain't gonna, it's not gonna work. And so, but as you said, I still also get more of the correspondence, the scheduling, and it could be because, maybe I'm organized, we're organizers, but either way.
I think it's just the default, right? Like, and everyone who's watching, if you identify as a woman, if you identify as a parent, right? Like you get it. You are the one that someone assumes you're going to take off work to come pick up your kid or because they're sick at school or whatever it might be.
And those roles, they are not always, so you're talking about the moms, but I bet there's some dads who feel like they're the default because their wife is, their spouse has the other type of, role. One thing that struck out to me was the invisible work. I have heard another YouTuber, I think she may be an organizer, but she definitely has talked about home management, home services, but the invisible to-do list and how you make these things up in your, not make them up, but they're things that you may not write out or they're not spoken about, right? But they're responsibilities stored in your head and your consciousness that you have to be managed, that you have to manage. So it's like, it's even beyond what you put in front of you. It's so much more beyond that. Because if you say, my kids need to take lunch to school, what's all involved in that? Who's going to shop? Can they eat this? No peanuts. It's like a whole bunch of things. So that becomes an extra load. And it seems simple enough, but it's a lot. It's a lot to manage. And that's a conversation we need to have more, like just being honest about the default parent.
I just recently, I recently became a certified fair play facilitator. And for your audience, Fair Play is a book that was written by Eve Rodsky. And there's a similar book, Drop the Ball by Tiffany Dufu, where these women, we talk about that invisible work and what it's like to keep up. So back to home organization or lifestyle organization, some of the reason why we can't get to those things behind the scenes in our home is because our mental space is taken up by managing that list of tasks that needs to happen behind the scenes. Sending thank you notes, checking in with grandma on her birthday, like you said, filling the fridge with foods that people will eat. Not just any brand, but the brand. And that takes up so much mental space. Of course, we can't always get to the things that we really want to put our time and attention to in terms of our work or other household responsibilities.
No, absolutely. I feel like it is a cycle, right? Because each week, each day brings new responsibilities. Each age of your children brings new responsibilities. Life changes for yourself. Your job changes. You start a business. You lose a job. these things are always shifting. So right when you feel like you may be comfortable or had it down, things could shift. Um, so one thing I want to ask you about is, of course, the wow factor. I feel like everyone in the audience are going to be able to relate to this in some capacity, whether you have kids or not, you have a spouse or not, you're working, you're not working, because we do put this load on us. But if we really want to have a solution, a possible solution on how to stop doing that or make it better, how do we do it? And that's what I want to kind of shift gears to talk about for the conference. Is you're going to be speaking about how to overcome those things. So tell us more about, in your head, conceptually, what will you be sharing with the audience at the Wow Factor event?
Sure. And one of the key words that we're all familiar with is priorities. But I think that we forget sometimes to check in with ourselves, and we think that we can have multiple priorities at any given time. And that's where it gets a bit sticky. I think looking at individual areas of your life and identifying specific top priorities at any given moment allows you to really give yourself permission to shift attention and focus on that area at any given time. Because we love to multitask. We love to have our attention split between multiple things. And that's where that invisible load, the to-do list going in the background, really interrupts. We are most successful and most productive when we can be present with one thing at a time. And so I see this even in my own life. I can see when I start to get overwhelmed, I start to get frazzled when I'm telling myself that I want to be focused on item A, but all my attention is over here on item B. And it's that layer of, I should be focused on A. I should be focused on A. I should be getting to that task. And when our attention is divided like that, it really drains our internal energy, and we're not really the best at anything at that time.
Yeah.
And that's where we feel it physically as well as mentally. So
Absolutely.
remembering, right, to stay with that one priority for as long as necessary. And then, of course, rotate and switch as needed.
Yes, yes. You talked about present and productive, which is something those are the heels that I die on, as my marketing coach said. Because I just feel like those are the keys to finding the solutions that you want to get out of this cycle, right? I think that you hit a very good point about the things that we do, that we think we're doing the right thing, but we're the multitasking aspect, and trying to do it all at the same time. Our brains just don't work that way in a healthy way. And then the wellness piece, taking care of yourself, like being honest about how many things you're gonna do a day. And I always say overestimate, because it may take a little bit longer, and then you go into the shoulda, coulda, woulda. I should have did this. It's just the unhealthy cycle of the same thing. And it will be interesting to see how people are able to take some of the language and shift it, and what that could be, what that can mean for them. Like, just your language impacts your mindset, or I should say the other way around, your mindset impacts your language. But I think that those two things work together. If you change those things, like you said, before you even start thinking about, okay, let me get organized, let's start there. Let's be realistic about what we have to do, what we say to ourselves, and that whole cycle before we even tackle that. So yeah, I think this is going to be such a healthy and amazing conversation. And I encourage, if you haven't registered, to definitely register in person or online to hear Amelia share her insight around this very important topic. And follow her so that you can get more tidbits between now and even after the event, because she really does drop some gems, and it's so relatable, because we're all there. We've been through it. We can relate to it. It's like, yeah, I feel you on that one. So yeah. Um, so what would you say is some challenges that people may face when just trying to get to have that new thinking, that new mindset? Like, what have you found to be difficult so people can know, okay, I'm on this journey, what I need to be aware of?
Yeah, I think the most common thing is that we think that if we choose a mantra or switch into a more positive or happy or feel good thought, that that's just going to stick right away. So,
Yeah.
like, if I just think a little bit more positively, or if I try a little bit more, I can change right away. And it
Mm,
truly is a process
okay.
of retraining your brain for those new thoughts, those new habits, those new pathways. To along the way, be kind and compassionate with yourself.
Mm,
Give yourself grace, because those
yeah.
automatic thoughts of like, oh, I should have done this, or oh, I forgot, or the internal judgment where we're beating ourselves up. That kind of old behavior will continue to come back until
Yeah.
we steadily quiet it down with new and effective thoughts and habits, for sure.
Got it. No, that makes sense. We're in this, I wanted the immediate, instant gratification life. I'm guilty of that. And I get excited about new things. Oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to do this, and then you fall into old habits, and then, like I said, beat yourself up for doing it.
Right.
So give yourself grace, because yes, we have. You can tap into resources outside of the conference and find something that really inspires you to change, to shift what you're doing. But give yourself grace, because it is a process, and find support along the way. That's one thing that I wanted to create with this platform, this event, is that you can get a community of people who have invested in this transformation, experts that are going to be hopefully a phone call or email away that you can tap into. And then you'll be able to have people who went through this experience with you, and now you can, connect with them, go along. If you leave here and you don't have someone else's number that was in the room, then you didn't do the conference the right way. No, I'm just joking. We're gonna make sure that happens. But we want you to have a community, because people need community. Like, we're interdependent beings, and that just helps us be stronger and relate and know that someone is right there with you and gonna help you. Like you said, your community in Florida, when Hurricane Ian came, they were right there for you. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and I think a great analogy or example would be the junk drawer. Everyone's
Mm.
familiar with the
Tell us
junk
about the
drawer,
junk drawer, Amelia.
right? Like, we got the junk drawer, and the key is learning how to declutter and organize it, get those skills in place. Maybe the junk drawer reappears. Maybe it shifts into another room. It's not about judging yourself for having a junk drawer. It's relying on those skills that I know how to declutter it. I
Mm,
know how to organize it. I'm just going to get back in it, clean it up, straighten it out. No more junk drawer. But not being surprised that it comes back, and just laughing about it, giving yourself grace and compassion, and
yeah.
just being like,
That's
I
a
got this.
that's a
I know
great
how to, I know
analogy.
how to do the junk drawer.
Yes, and we have them. I have a junk drawer. It has some bins, it's organized, but it is essentially a junk drawer. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But I love that because you're like, it's about, instead of sitting in the problem, your solution, or you're like, I know how to do it, and you're empowered. Like, you're like,
Mhm.
oh, and I can do it. When I'll schedule this for a Saturday or evening. It will get done. I'll do it. I know how to do it. And it's okay if it reappears. Hopefully it won't. Hopefully you'll learn some like foundational things to where you can put things where they go. But if you don't, it's okay. It's okay. So yes, so I love that. Well, we circle back to organizing, because that is where our hearts are at the end of the day, with the junk drawer. And so before we close out, I want to just ask you if you have anything to say about the wow factor, your involvement, anything you want to say to anyone about what you'll be doing or what to look forward to.
Yeah, I'm absolutely excited to be here and to be with Day and Andrea and Kelly, amazing women. This is going to be an awesome lineup. I've seen the speakers. I'm excited to be part of the panel. And this work really makes a difference and makes an impact. So show up, expect to see you there. And yeah, join us. We're really motivated to do this work, to help others, to inspire you, and to learn from you as well. This is a community oriented activity, and so that is what this truly is about.
Spot on. Yes, it's definitely it's going to be beneficial for everyone in the room, and we'll all walk away with some great pearls. I'm excited to have Amelia join the Wow Factor. I can't tell you how much we appreciate your commitment and investment and time and energy into this event. And I know that everyone's going to get something truly valuable from hearing from you and connecting with you. So thank you again for joining me today. And you guys be sure to follow Amelia and stay in her community. And be sure to register at the wowfactoryevent.com. You can scan this QR code. I'm finally pointing the right way, even though you can't see it. It gets me off. So you can register. Right now, we are running a wow special that Andrea, Kelly, and I announced last week on our live, where you can get the admission tickets half off. Woo! Until the end of next week. So that's going to be just a special that we're running. If you're interested, sign up today. Don't delay. I know it's not like a commercial, but it rhymes. So,
I'll just add, if you're thinking about it, do it now, because that delayed decision will just become work you have to do later, and nobody likes extra work. So do it now.
That part. Do it now. Yes. All right. Well, thank you, Amelia. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Feel free to DM us, comment if you have any questions, but we hope to see you at the event. Bring your friends, and y'all have a wonderful and blessed week. Thank you, Amelia.